What's going on, everybody? Lord of Houston coming at you with a video. 713 Space City. We in the building. And this video is going to be something Texas Longhorns related. Regarding the Cheez-Its Bowl, I'm going to do a video on, along with the 2026 football schedule. But before I get into that, I want to briefly touch on some of the so far 9 players that have hit the transfer portal, which is, including, key secondary players that took a loss, in the portal: Trey Owens, CJ Baxter, Jared Gibson, Aaron Butler, Melvin Hills, Santana Wilson, and Will Stone. Those are the players I just mentioned that hit so far, in the portal. The one that, sticks out to me the most is, CJ Baxter, because he's been injured the majority of the year, had a lot of high hopes for him. And I get it, the players that was lost within that offensive line from last season, because of the new O-line and O-line having to gel together as the new O-line. But, the players aren't, but sure gonna miss them, meaning, would have liked to keep Jared Gibson as well. Would like to see what he could do in 2026 come next season, along with Santana Wilson. But, players, as they say, players come and go. It's unfortunate, but the show must go on, knowing that the logo forever comes first when it comes to the Texas Longhorns. So 9 players there that hit the portal, wish them nothing but the best. And, wherever they land next. Now, as far as the 2026 schedule, it's officially out. So knowing that Texas will begin next season hosting Texas State, the first of 3 home games to kick off 2026, which, Texas State, Ohio State, which I'm looking forward to, coming to Austin, and UTSA as well, coming to Austin as well. The home game I'm looking forward to the most is, Ohio State. Because, I wouldn't be surprised if they come back as a national championship contender once more. Yeah, they'll endure some players leaving for the draft, but I'm gonna be surprised if they come back stacked once again. So I'll be watching that game for sure. And then they go to Tennessee in Knoxville to host the Volunteers of Tennessee. And then they're off for that October 3rd before playing the Oklahoma Sooners in the Red River Rivalry matchup. Then they play host to Florida, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State. Before traveling to go to Missouri and LSU and Baton Rouge. First time they'll play each other since 2019. Last time LSU went to Austin, Sam Ehlinger faced off against Joe Burrow. And, Texas fought hard to the end, but there was some key plays that kind of messed Texas' chances of winning against LSU, in which LSU won that game, a year before the pandemic. And then they host Arkansas once again, and then they travel to College Station once again to take on the Texas A&M Aggies in the annual rivalry again. And then, of course, Texas is going to finish this campaign against Michigan on New Year's Eve, in which I will talk more about that. Oh, and also, Anthony Hill is going to be declaring for the NFL draft too, meaning he won't play in the Citrus Bowl. So now that I've got that out the way, I want to talk about, the upcoming Citrus Bowl, which is 18 more days away and counting. The sooner the better. Yeah, Michigan, gonna number 18 coming in. And of course, Texas fell short of the college football playoff. And if I was to guess what played a role in Texas not qualifying for the college football playoff is simply playing the loss against Florida, which was inexcusable, sloppy play, which did the horns in that game. But hey, it's always next year, as they say. So if Texas wants to, finish the season strong, by winning the Citrus Bowl, the coaching's gonna, Sark's gonna have to, coach his heart out. Coaching's gonna have to be key along with preparation. Special teams gotta play ball out along with the defense. Defense gotta force sacks. Colin Simmons, gonna have to, lead the defense as well. Now that Anthony Hill is gonna be leaving for the NFL draft after this year. So, and also, forgot to mention that Texas is gonna have to land some key transfer players too. That comes to Texas, But as far as the Citrus Bowl, defense, got to, force turnovers, force sacks, force quick 3-and-outs, which is gonna be key. And the offense, Arch Manning, got to do Arch Manning things. I mean, good to see he has been improving in the latter part of 2025 after starting slow earlier in the campaign. But, the running backs that we have now is going to have to step up in a big way. As far, and though, the receivers got to do their thing, DeAndre Moore, Wingo, injuries, got to get the tight ends involved. And the offensive line got to do their part too. It's part of playing characteristic disciplined football. If it means not committing any boneheaded penalties, not making any careless errors. I mean, game-breaking errors at that. So the running backs that the Horns have now gonna have to step up, which I'll be keeping an eye on, by the way. So, and of course, you want to finish sustained drives and score touchdowns for real. If you're the Texas Longhorns, start strong, finish strong from start to finish for 4 quarters, not just one half, 4 quarters. I mean, yeah, it sucks. Some of the, the seniors that we have now, we'd like to see them go out on a winning strong note, for sure. So if they can do the right things on that field, there's no excuses to why Texas don't win the Citrus Bowl. So nothing like finishing the season strong. This, low college football playoff. Hey, finish the season strong. So hook 'em horns, hook 'em. Let's get that W to close out 2025.